All right, well, we were the first to pounce on this idea that was echoed in the media headlines just again today, that this Comey fixation is really meant to be a deflection from the GOP agenda, not a very popular agenda, certainly with the mainstream media and obviously with Democrats. I don't think that's a right or left argument. I think it's fair to say that is the fact. All right, Forbes media chairman Steve Forbes on what he makes of that and how Republicans answer that. I think a lot of the buffeting in the market, Steve, have to do with that, and that, as you know, and you've reminded me over the years and through the Clinton years, these guys aren't red or blue. They're just green. They want to make money, 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 money. And this gets in the way of that. It gets in the way of an agenda that they think would be money-friendly, right?
Well, yes, indeed. And politically, it's a huge distraction from getting the two big things through for the Republicans, health care in the Senate and a tax bill through both houses. Even though the economy, Neil, is starting to show some renewed signs of life, it still hasn't the vigor that's going to help them next year.
Do you think that's interesting, though, Steve, that the improvement in the economy, and even I think this one forecaster was today predicting very soon an unemployment rate under 4%, on top of the pickup in wholesale inflation, the unexpectedly good news on jobless claims at a 28-year low, that maybe the market's saying they'll use this as justification not to goose the economy?
Well, when the patient is getting better, you don't pull the patient off the medicine and rip off the bandages and whatever else the patient had.
Actually, my doctors tried to do that. They did. It was very rude. But go ahead. I understand what you're saying.
But it didn't do you any harm. You look better than ever.
There you go.
But sadly, the economy is not in as good shape as you are. And what the economy does need is a real tax cut, tax simplification, both on the business side and on the personal side, and getting this whole health care uncertainty out of the way. It's amazing how the Republicans have let the Democrats define the health care debate. Most Americans now think that the Republican plan means tens of millions of people are going to be thrown out in the streets, dying in the gutters and all that kind of thing. And while the plan has flaws, it's not what the Democrats saying it is, and the Republicans have no response. They didn't even have talking points when they went home after House passed that bill last week.
Steve, I'm so glad you said that, and you were an island here in a vast ocean of sort of same old stories on this health care thing. But just to remind people of that, and I found these statistics amazing when I was reviewing them, 11 million people have Obamacare exclusively. There are about another 9 million more because of a pickup in the job market and maybe tangentially through Obamacare that had insurance or didn't have insurance. So when you hear these figures that 24 million are going to lose their insurance, which is something the CBO put out, we should caution here, this is based on an estimate over the next 10 years. Yet it was the CBO that estimated back in 2010 when this was first crafted that 32 million Americans would be covered exclusively, who never had insurance before, by Obamacare. By 2011, they had revised it down to about 28 million. By 2014, revised down to 25 million. By late 2015, down to 22 million. Now, as I said, the core number is more like 11 million. So my only one in mentioning that and saying what you've been saying is, you can play fast and loose with the numbers, and the media leaves out the fact that when 24 million lose their insurance, it's based on an estimate going forward in the next 10 years. And furthermore, it's from the same body of folks who so wildly missed it before.
And of that 24 million they estimate, a good number of them are people who wouldn't take the insurance because it's so expensive. And they don't have to pay the fines anymore. If you don't coerce them, they don't want this lousy product.
And by the way, what has happened, I'm sorry to jump in, but this really gets my goat, and you know it and all that stuff. This idea that what's really contributing to the pickup in insurance coverage is more jobs. You get people more jobs, they get coverage. So sometimes we make this more complicated than it need be, that if you are improving the economy and pick up jobs, people will get insurance. Their prospects will improve. And the government doesn't have to do that. That's something that private enterprise, through growth and incentives, whatever, with or without government, can make happen.
That's right. And during Obamacare, for 5 years, they had a special program for people who might not be able to get insurance because of pre-existing conditions. You know how many people actually signed up during that 5-year period? 114,000. You can take care of them, and the Republicans are going to do it with a relatively small amount of money. So that part is absolutely garbage. The one part they do have to cure, which I hope they do in the Senate, is people between the ages of 50 to 64 who make too much for Medicaid, aren't old enough for Medicare. A lot of those are going to face insurance premium increases, and I hope the Senate fixes that. If they do, you've got a pretty good bill.
Yeah, well said. Steve Forbes, I know it's sort of like flying in the face of all this other sameness, but thank God you do. Very good seeing you again, my friend.
Good to see you.